Hello everyone, my name is Simon and I would like to welcome you to today's webinar titled Study Translational Medicine at the University of Helsinki in Finland. And during today's webinar, you will learn more about the university itself. It's one of the oldest and largest universities in Finland. In fact, it is the oldest and largest university, and it has repeatedly been ranked among world's top universities. Today you will also learn more about the Translational Medicine Master's Program, what's it all about, and the career possibilities after graduating. Of course, you'll hear the much needed information about the application process, who is eligible to apply, and of course, how to apply. And also what you'll hear today, we have two students, one former and one current student presenting. You'll hear their experiences. And I do believe that it is time to send my greetings now to Helsinki, to Finland. And firstly, I would like to introduce Tina Imonen, the program coordinator. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you, Simon, and greetings to all of you who are attending the webinar now. I am really pleased to see all you there, and I hope that you get lots of information during this webinar.
You know, it's a pleasure having you in the session. But before we go actually to the presentation, there's three more panelists I would like to introduce, starting off with Valtteri Laitala, who will be telling you more about the admissions process. Welcome to you, Valtteri.
Thank you, Simon, and hello to everyone. And I'm representing the admission services of the University of Helsinki. And as said, I'm going to tell you a bit about the application process a bit later.
Thank you very much, Valtteri. And next off, I would like to introduce Lea Urpa, who is a TRANSMED graduate. Welcome, Lea.
Hi, thanks very much, Simon. Oh, I think I'm muted here. Let's see. Oh, no, you can hear me very well. Hi. Yes, I'm a former student at TRANSMED. I graduated last June, and now I'm a PhD student at the University of Helsinki in the FIM-EMBL PhD program. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Lea, for taking the time and being present in the webinar. And last but not least, it's time to meet Alexandra Lahtinen, who is a current student. And welcome to you, Alexandra.
Hello everyone, I'm indeed the current student and I'm greeting you all from snowy Helsinki, and I'm very glad to hear and to be with you today.
Thank you very much to the lovely panel of four we have today, and I'm sure that the audience that has joined today's webinar would prefer to hear more about the program, the admissions process, and of course your experiences. And it's time to give the floor to Tina, the program coordinator, who will kick things off. Tina, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. I hope that during this next 30 minutes, we can convince you about one way of being one of the best by graduating from the University of Helsinki. We will tell you more about the master's program in Translational Medicine, which is also widely known by its acronym TRANSMED, and that I think we will be also frequently using in this webinar. But by studying in TRANSMED, you might be studying in one of the top universities in the world. So I hope that you will join us here next autumn. During this webinar, we will briefly describe the location, Finland, and the University of Helsinki. And the TRANSMED program specifically is coordinated by the Faculty of Medicine within University of Helsinki. I will describe the contents of the program, the TRANSMED curriculum, and I will also tell you about some career options and the statistics of where our graduates have been going after graduation. Valtteri will tell you about the application process, but then I will supplement that with some information of some specific features of the TRANSMED admission, which we have like different things from the general requirements of the University of Helsinki. And then from Leah and from Alexandra, you will hear live experiences from the student point of view, and I really hope that during this webinar you will get to know us better. So now I will pass the floor to Lea Urpa.
Hi, thanks very much, Tina. So I'm here presenting a little bit about what it's like to study in the city of Helsinki, but also at the university, since I'm originally from the US and I have a bit of a fresh perspective. So let's see. Yes, so Helsinki is a very great city to live in, personally. It says here that it's a pocket-sized metropolis, which I think is really fantastic. The city itself is big enough to have everything that you need because it's the capital city of Finland, but at the same time it's quite small and it's very easy to navigate. And personally, being from Los Angeles, my favorite part is that they actually have a public transportation system that works. And especially in wintertime, it's very fantastic. So it's one of the northernmost countries in the world, and it's one of the big things is it says here, ideal location and stunning nature. Helsinki is a very fantastic city for people who love nature. At the same time, it has a very metropolitan feel. There's always some kind of, even in the depths of winter, some kind of festivals and other activities going on. But at the same time, you can take a 30-minute car ride outside of the city, and you're in a giant national park of Finland, and it's really fantastic nature. Even in the winter time, there's lots of winter sports to be done as well. So, personally, you might be able to hear it, but I really love living in Helsinki, and on top of just the university. So, speaking a little bit about the University of Helsinki itself, you can see here it's this nice big building that you have in the center. The main university building is just next to that, so it's really in a central location in the city. It's very integrated into city life. It's the best ranked university in Finland, the oldest and largest university in Finland. And personally, I've really enjoyed studying at the university. I mean, I finished my degree here and decided to stay for another 5 years, at least, for a doctoral program. I quite enjoy studying at the university. The facilities are really fantastic. There's a lot of support for the students in their study aims, but also as sort of like whole people. The university does a very good job of supporting you, not just in your career, although it does a very good job of that as well, but making sure that you are sort of like a sane person while you're doing that as well. And it's also interesting to note that there's a wide range of studies in English. So the TRANSMED program, as Thina will tell you more about, is entirely in English, and there's a great number of courses that are offered in English. Really, really fantastic, especially at the master's and doctoral level. So I think that's all I've got to say about the university, so I'll turn it now back to Thina. So thank you.
So I often receive questions about what is translational medicine. So what do you actually teach in the program? And I think the best answer to that is to describe what we are actually teaching. And the whole curriculum of the TRANSMED program is concentrating on 3 central themes. Knowledge about medical sciences, research skills, and communication skills. And I will briefly tell you more about how we are teaching those and how the students can practice each of these. The degree that you receive after studying in TRANSMED program is Master of Science in Translational Medicine. And that means that you really have a science degree, not a degree in medicine, which means that through graduation from TRANSMED, you won't be regarded as a healthcare professional, and you will not receive any qualification towards that end. But this is a science program, and the major aim is to give you the best possible preparation to continue your studies to the PhD level. The scope of the program is 120 ECTS credits, which means that you can complete the program within 2 years, but that really requires intense studies and full-time work. This is a full-time program, and most of our courses require really attendance in class, so you can't have any remote graduation from this program. We also have a tuition fee for students coming from outside the European Union area, and that will be, for our program, 15,000 euros per year. The curriculum consists of studies in basic medical sciences or biomedicine, how it's also sometimes called or grouped in many places, concerning studies in pharmacology, medical genetics, human physiology and anatomy, epidemiology, and so on, giving you good grounds for then having further studies going in depth to the mechanisms of human diseases. And this is really one of the major themes in the program. And you can choose courses on pathology, on cancer biology or regenerative medicine, in psychobiology, in infection biology, or others. While you are studying all these medical aspects, you will also be educated in skills for translational careers, meaning general skills in research, which comprise both the writing of scientific articles or theses on research ethics, but also current research methods, which you can practice both on courses and then within research groups by having hands-on experiences on the most recent research methods. We will also help you in already during the studies consider your career options through careful career orientation courses. At the end of the studies, your studies on the mechanisms of human disease and also your communication skills will be tested through clinical rounds, which are the peak of the program. And because the Faculty of Medicine, where we are in, is actually located in an Academic Medical Center Helsinki, a joint campus of the University of Helsinki Central Hospital and the Faculty of Medicine. We have really good collaboration with the hospital, and all our students go for the clinical rounds into the departments in the hospital to really meet patients and doctors and get in-depth knowledge on specific diseases. You will hear more about many of these courses from our student representatives in this webinar, I hope, so both from Alexandra and from Leah, just a little later in this webinar. We also give you ample opportunities in practicing communication skills in writing, which is probably the thing that you will be doing more or less in any program, but also your oral skills. You will have ample opportunities to practice your oral skills by giving seminars and presentations, by participating in seminars, in scientific discussion, and also you will have, for example, in your final examination, a part of, that is called oral defense, so you will be really discussing orally your final examination. Also, the methods in teaching support these practices, so we try to use as much as possible various methods in interaction and group working. We use problem-based learning or team-based learning, group works, pairwise works, and different methods where you can discuss, and also because we have lots of small group approaches, the students have lots of opportunities to discuss with the teachers, to discuss with the scientists, and to discuss with the clinicians. Also, the assessment methods are varying. In addition to the traditional written examinations, we have also online examinations. We may evaluate by your in-class activity through home exercises or oral presentations. You need to keep learning diaries and do other literary work. We might assess your group work, or we might assess you during the clinical rounds, also based on the evaluation by your clinical mentors. Starting from next fall, we will implement in the program 5 study tracks, which you can choose then after you have enrolled to the program. So you do not need to apply to any of these when you are applying to the program, but you can choose your study track while you are studying and finding more information on these. The study tracks will be cancer, regenerative medicine, neuroscience and psychobiology, metabolic disorders, and cross-disciplinary translational medicine. The career options after graduating from TRANSMED. I told you that the aim, or the main aim of the program, is to educate the students for further PhD studies. And actually, about half of our students really go on in pursuing their doctoral degree, either in Finland or abroad. But then also, many of our students go right after graduating from the program and are enrolled in the private sector bioindustry or pharma companies. And it has been shown that our degree is really highly regarded also by international biopharma and pharma companies. Our students are working, for example, as clinical research associates or product specialists in these companies. So now I will give the floor to the admissions officer, Valtteri Laitala, who will tell you more about how to apply to the program.
Yeah, thank you, Tina. And
if I may, Valtteri, I know for a fact that you guys have prepared a great video, an interactive video for the audience to enjoy. And before we actually hear from you, let's give them the idea of what they can expect with this next video to be played. Before I actually play the video, the volume has to be set locally on your end. So before we hear more from Valtteri, I hope that you guys enjoy, and we'll be back with you in 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Thank you very much for preparing that video. I myself have enjoyed it quite immensely. I hope that the audience has too. I love those magic marker videos that are so interactive. But now to hear more from Valtteri. Valtteri, the floor should be yours.
Thank you, Simon. Now a few words about the application process. So there are some basic application requirements. One applicant you should have an appropriate bachelor's degree, meaning that, as said, it should be from the same field or closely related field as the master's program you are applying to. You should also submit English language proficiency and follow the country-specific requirements for the application documents. There are many ways in improving one's language proficiency, like language tests, IELTS, TOEFL, and also previous degree is possible. The application period begins on the 1st of December and lasts to 12th of January. The results will be available latest into April, and the studies begin in next autumn. The University of Helsinki has also launched a scholarship program for covering the tuition fees. The tuition fees are between 13,000 and 18,000 euros for one academic year, depending on the program. And it concerns the citizens of non-European Union or EEA countries who don't have permanent residence status in the area. And for this TRANSMED program, the tuition fee was 15,000 euros annually. The scholarships are divided in 4 categories. Firstly, it's tuition fees covering and also covering the living costs. It's for 10,000 euro annually, the living cost grant. Secondly, it's just a living cost grant for 10,000 euros. And then there's also a scholarship of half of the tuition fee annually. And as we just saw, this wonderful video, it's available on the YouTube, and you can always contact the admission services by email, by Facebook, or by calling us. And now I think it's time for Tina to tell you more about the specific requirements concerning the TRANSMED.
Thank you, Valtteri. Actually, I am going to oppose Valtteri for the very first things he told you about, that you need to have a bachelor's degree from a closely related area or field than the program where you're applying to. TRANSMED has a very different view on this aspect. The goal of the program is to recruit and train students that are interested in doing research in the field of medicine. We see that there are many fields that could be useful in doing medical research, and actually are also represented by the current researchers in the groups doing medical research. So that's why we accept students with varying backgrounds from biotechnology, engineering, computer science, psychology, biology, pharmacy, and so on. So we don't have any specific requirements for your background. So you may apply with really different kind of bachelor's degrees. Then we also have a two-phase student selection. So in addition to the application process that was described by Valtteri and in the video, then when we are evaluating your applications, we select a maximum of 60 best candidates for an online interview. And this is the second phase of the student selection. And then the final decisions will be based both on your application and then the online interview. And then also, in addition to the general application documents that you are required to send, we request you to send a letter of recommendation, for example, from the supervisor of your bachelor's degree, and for the interview, a photocopy of your passport, so that we can identify you when we see you on Skype. and we are aiming for the discoveries for health, either in academia or in the private sector companies. So now I will pass the floor to our freshman student, Alexandra Lahtinen, and she will tell you about something about her experiences in TRANSMED.
Hello everyone, I'm here back. I'm actually a second-year student, but the first-year stresses are still in my memory. And a few years ago when I was choosing the program, I come originally from Russia, so I had very good background in chemistry. I was actually looking for a very specific program. I was a very demanding student. I had two things that I would like TRANSMED to cover, and actually I got them all covered. So one of them was course on anatomy. I wanted to have a very good background course on human anatomy. This was my dream. Because I never had any background in medicine, and I wanted to have a solid thing that I will remember and have in my mind. And actually HOST, which is a human organ system and tissues, is the course that you will have in the first semester if you come to this program, and it's absolutely fascinating. You will have practicals, you will measure each other's blood pressures, you will see autopsies. Everything you can dream of that you could possibly have, you will probably have. So this is a very good course. Another end which I had was completely different. I wanted data analysis. I was fascinated by big data, by genomics, by discoveries, new generation sequences, numbers, genes, and everything like that. And I just couldn't imagine that both of these ends would happen in the same program. But actually I had it on the first year. I had Introduction to Bioinformatics. It was just right. It had enough of information for me to hold in my hand. I also learned how to program. And then I had another course, which was the system biology, which is also a mathematical course with modeling and a lot of insights in cells and physiology. And I can tell you that both courses are absolutely what I couldn't even dream of. So from my first year as a student, I can tell that TRANSMED is a very specific program. It's very broad, but from the other point of view, it probably can satisfy many interests that you have, starting from conservative medical ones and ending to the modern computer science. So this was my personal experience. And now I would like to pass the floor to Lea, who will tell you a bit more.
Thanks, Alexandra. So I will talk about a little bit of what happens in the second year, since I recently graduated last June. So in the second year, probably the highlight of the program for a lot of people, and in my experience, the reason a lot of us applied for the program are these clinical rounds. So the clinical rounds are a very, very valuable experience. As researchers, we often are, let's say, a little abstracted from what actually goes on in the university, in the hospitals, and what actually the physicians are doing. And it's a fantastic experience where you're embedded within a unit in the hospital, where you actually get to follow along the doctors and ask them all of their questions and see how they do the work that they do in a way that can really inform the kind of research that you're doing. So the clinical rounds, totally fantastic. The master's thesis and final exam. I've got to say the master's thesis was supported at every step by the TRANSMED program. It was, of course, difficult, you know. The master's thesis is never fun, but I certainly learned a lot. And the way that they really tell you that is at the final exam. So the final exam is actually a 5 ECTS credit course where you come up with a mock research grant proposal. And this is, well, I mean, if you're going to be continuing on in research, you'll be writing grants basically for the rest of your life. So, you know, it's good to get some training in early. And for me, it really showed that all of the skills that I had learned doing the master's thesis, because you basically, as soon as you're done with your thesis, you turn around and apply all those skills again to the final exam, reviewing literature, looking for plausible experimental design, being able to like reasonably explain how you would do these experiments to the expert examiners at your final exam. And it really showed me that I really thought when I finished it that there was no way I would have been able to do it at the beginning of my studies. Doing this final exam was something that would have been quite difficult, if not impossible, at the beginning of my studies. But once I finished with the studies, it was like, oh, yeah, no, I know how to do this now, which is really great. As I'm continuing on in the PhD, it was very much gave me confidence that I could apply for these more funding opportunities as a PhD student. The career preparation I thought was also very useful. I think it will now be a required course, allowing you to basically speak with other PhD students. Sorry, not just PhD students, but speak with the admissions officers at the PhD at the university and find out what kind of opportunities, not just in the university, but also in industry. I think we had a seminar where a speaker came from industry talking about what it's like to do R&D in industry, and then had some principal investigators from the university come and speak about their experiences, which I found very, very valuable. And in the end, it's maybe a little trite to say, but I think it really hits all of these main goals that the program offers. Is the research skills, which you of course learn by needing to complete the master's thesis, the medical science, which similarly to Alexandra, I was not necessarily a medical scientist when I came into the program. My background was actually in evolutionary biology and ecology, and one of the reasons that I wanted to come was to sort of make up all of the gaps that I had in my knowledge that was preventing me from doing really good biomedical science, and I definitely feel that those gaps have been filled. And the communication skills, I think it really does a fantastic job of all of these. And in the end, you get sort of this what they call T-shaped experience. You get an overview of many, many different fields that you wouldn't even necessarily think that you wanted to study in the first place, but once you're sort of obligated to take classes in it, you realize how valuable and useful it is. So that as you go on in the future and you decide to sort of specifically study one thing, which you kind of already do in the master's thesis, you have many, many different areas to draw on. So information from many different areas and subjects that you can work into your idea, into your forthcoming research, which people say that these days interdisciplinary research is sort of where it's moving, and TRANSMED really prepares you for that, I feel. So yeah, I think we have some of a couple of students here that are really singing the praises, but I don't know, you can go and find 2 other students and I think they would tell you the same thing. We've had very good experiences in the program. Yeah, and I think that's what I've got, so I'll hand it back over to Tina.
Okay, thank you, Leah. And thank you, Alexandra. I think that you have heard now lots of information from us and also experiences. I now invite you to really present your burning questions and try to drag all the information from us that you can ever think of. And if we are not able to answer some of your questions, or if you come up with any questions later, please, you can find information in many different sources, and of course also you can always contact me directly.
Tina, thank you very much, as well as thank you to Valtteri, Leah, and Alexandra. And as Tina just indicated, we are now in the questions and answers part, where it's your chance to ask the presenters whatever you would like to know about the program, admissions process, perhaps even student life outside of the university, what it's like. You have 2 students joining today, and I know for a fact that we already have quite a few questions already submitted in the Q&A. But before we take on the first one, just for the new audience members that join us a bit later, you can find the Q&A to the right of the platform. We want you to submit your questions in writing, and now the presenters will answer them verbally. And I think Kellen has a good question to kick off the Q&A. It's a bit further down the line, but she would like to know what kind of competences are expected from an applicant to the TRANSMED program.
Yes, maybe that would be for me to answer. So absolutely, the competencies that we are looking for are burning interest in the field, burning interest and motivation for medical research. And then also you need to be able to provide some proof that you are a capable student, so that you are able to study hard, you are able to complete your studies in a reasonable time. And then it's always good if you have some experiences or either in education or in your personal life that prepare you for the challenges of an international program, possibly in a foreign country, so that you are prepared to take the kind of risk in being in a group with students from many other countries. But we are not expecting any specific courses or any specific training in some field. So that is not what is requested. But any experiences, for example, of research, and then the application letter or the recommendation letter are important.
Thank you very much, Tina. Of course, we have a couple of questions regarding scholarships, specifically from Ashar, if there are any full tuition scholarships available.
Yeah, that's for me, I think. Yeah, there will be full tuition fee scholarships available, and also some living cost scholarships as well. But the total amount of scholarships, it's a bit open and depending on the applicants.
Well, Terry, and as you answered this one, I think the next one might be for you. Kamil would like to know about the specific score required for an IELTS or a TOEFL.
Yeah, there are specific requirements for TOEFL and IELTS. Let me just check them. Yeah, for IELTS it's 6.5, and for TOEFL it's just a moment. Yeah, there are two kinds of TOEFL tests. So the TOEFL internet-based test, it's 92, and the TOEFL paper-based test, it's 580, the score.
Well, Terry, thank you very much. Before taking on the next question in the Q&A, I will open a poll. We have two brief questions for you, the audience members. If you would be so kind and give us some feedback, perhaps if there's some more information you would like to get on some aspect of the program, or if perhaps you're planning to apply to the program, would be the questions. And the poll has no time limit, so feel free to take your time. And you can also still submit your questions in the Q&A. And staying on topic of the admissions process, I believe we had a question regarding transferring credits from Lisa. If it's possible to transfer credits from a prior master's degree, for example, a Master's of Science in Nursing.
Yes, I think that that question is for me. You can use the credits in your previous degree only in the case that you have some studies that completely cover some of our courses. So then you can get those courses acknowledged based on your previous education, and you can get credit transfer through that. But a Master of Science in Nursing, I doubt whether there would be any courses that would completely match, but if there would be, then that can be considered.
Thank you very much. I'm guessing a lot of students still want to know regarding scholarships. If you will, Valtteri, it's about what is the eligibility in order to get the scholarship.
Shortly, the eligibility is applicant must be an outside EU or EEA student, and the process goes like that you have to have sort of academic excellence. How do I say? It's according to your motivation and your previous academic studies.
Thank you very much. Let's see, a question from Alejandra. Can a physician with research experience apply?
Yes, I think that is, again, for me. Yes, physicians can apply, and especially if you have research experience, that is good for your application. We actually have accepted students with a medical degree, so that is possible, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And I missed this question should be asked before taking on Alejandra's. Sina would like to know where can they find more information regarding scholarships?
More information regarding our scholarships is available on our website. But as the situation is brand new for all of us at the University of Helsinki, it's the first round we have the scholarships like this. So there will be more and more information during this November.
Thank you, Valtteri. And I believe that Ara's question sums up a few questions submitted in the Q&A. So Ara is saying, in terms of bachelor's degree backgrounds, what are some examples of some less natural science-oriented degrees that your currently enrolled students or already graduated students have held?
Well, I think that actually we have graduates with a computer science background. That's maybe one of the furthest. We have also accepted students with mathematics or theoretical physics. Currently, we don't have any students yet that would have, for example, their background completely in humanities, but that might be possible in the future because we have we are now implementing the study track of psychobiology starting from next fall. So then we expect also to have applications from a lot wider audience than currently, and then we might also accept students with even more like varying backgrounds than this far.
Thank you very much, Tina. I believe that we addressed more of the broader questions submitted in the Q&A, and next it's time to pick up those more specific ones. Specifically from Camille, he would like to ask you about opportunities for doctors with Russian diploma, oncologists specifically, and I'm guessing he's asking about his eligibility. Would that be allowed for him to apply for education or research at your university? He's asking.
Well, I can answer from the TRANSMED point of view, so that with this kind of background, you would be eligible to apply to TRANSMED. You fulfill all the requirements. Whether you would be qualified to apply for some other education, I think that is more for Valtteri.
Yeah, as a general rule, it goes like in case your previous degree gives you eligibility to apply to a master's degree in your home country, it also gives you the eligibility to apply to a master's degree in Finland. But that's a general rule. And the more specific questions concerning the previous studies, what do you need to have, like study field, that depends on the program in hand.
Thank you very much to both. And then we have a question from Dr. Sharma. This was also submitted offline. We have an option of any potential attendee submitting their question offline before joining the webinar, and here it goes. Dr. Sharma is 60 years of age, self-funded, and his Indian documents were verified by Dataflow. In addition, he's a fellow of Royal College of Physicians from Edinburgh and a fellow of American College of Physicians. And now the question is, would he still need to get his documents verified from his university, which he attended almost 30 years ago?
Can he teach for our program?
I think that this is for Valtteri.
Yeah, I think it's for me. Yeah, one has to follow the country-specific requirements, even though the degree would be like 30 years old. Yeah, but you have to follow the requirements.
Perhaps Lea can help us with the next one. Michaela would like to know what kind of PhD programs are graduate students students pursuing, as well as Tina, you can help us out, of course.
Sure. Maybe I can talk a little bit about the PhD program that I'm in right now. So I'm at the University of Helsinki in the Institute for Molecular Medicine. So I'm in a program that's joint between the Institute for Molecular Medicine, FIM, and the EMBL, the European Molecular Biology Laboratory in Heidelberg. So it's a joint program through these two different institutes, and as the title says, it's in molecular medicine. But specifically, I'm studying computational biology. I'm one of those people like Alexandra that I took the Intro to Bioinformatics course during my TRANSMED studies and sort of got hooked on programming. I'd never actually been exposed to it before, and now I'm doing. Right now I'm in a rotation year, actually, so I'm doing software development for data visualization for cancer omics, but I'm hoping to land in doing some kind of genomic studies of psychiatric disorders in the end. So that's a little bit about my program, but short answer, I guess, in molecular medicine, that kind of thing. But maybe Tina can tell us more about the PhD programs that other graduates have gone to.
Yes, within the University of Helsinki, there's actually a doctoral school of health, which comprises of 8 doctoral programs, and TRANSMED graduates have enrolled into several of these in the fields of biomedicine or integrated life sciences, for example. And you can also apply for example, in a doctoral program in pharmacy. So there are several options. Also, you can apply to PhD programs abroad. So some of our graduates are pursuing their PhD degrees in Australia or in France, for example.
Thank you very much, Tina. As well as
here, I can also add some. This is Alexandra. That entering the PhD program in Helsinki University is not a difficult progress. Sorry, you have to follow requirements, but one of the requirements is that you have to have a group where you are actually aiming to make your thesis. And with TRANSMED, it has been exceptionally easy, because you might have your master thesis in one of the groups here in TRANSMED, and then this same group will follow you and lead you to the PhD school. This is what's happening to me. I'm now applying for a PhD school with current master thesis group. So TRANSMED actually provides you the route towards the PhD school in the future.
I can actually add a little bit to that as well. So that's entirely possible, and I think in a lot of cases that happens. But it's also possible to apply through different means as well. So I'm in a different lab than my master's thesis, and it was a separate application to the FIM-MBL program, and it's entirely possible to do either of these things with a degree from TRANSMED. I think it's competitive enough to apply to separate programs in other universities or within the university itself, or if you've already got this great connection and you already know that you want to do your PhD with the person you did your thesis research with, that's also possible entirely.
Thank you very much to all three. Perhaps a related question, similarly related, would be coming in from Sina, asking if a pharmacist can apply, and when it comes to the master thesis, is it possible to take it with the Faculty of Pharmacy?
Yes, I think I can answer that. Definitely a pharmacist can apply. We have had students with a pharmacist background, and some of them have already graduated and have gone on with their lives. You can also do the master's thesis in research groups outside the Faculty of Medicine, and it's completely possible to do a master's thesis project, for example, within a research group in the Faculty of Pharmacy. So no objections to that.
Great news for Sina then. Perhaps, Valtteri, you wouldn't mind telling Ashar, I'm guessing they join us a bit later, if there are any other exams they can take except IELTS.
Yeah, the following ways to submit your English language skills are available. So IELTS, TOEFL, CIA, CPA, PTE, Academic, and also you can prove your language capability by having a previous degree, and more information is available on our website.
Thank you very much, Valtteri. Perhaps the next one is also meant for you, I believe. Kellen is asking if you appreciate work experience or recent studies. I'm guessing here the question is about eligibility again.
Yes, I think that is more for me.
That's right. Yeah.
Because when you do your online application, one part of that online application is a motivation letter where we have specific questions asking and giving you the possibility to tell you, for you to tell everything about your background that might benefit your application. And definitely work experience or recent studies or research experience are things that you can promote in your application, and they will be taken into account when evaluating your application. The questions for the motivation letter are published on our website, so you can go there and see what kind of questions we have. You can prepare them in advance.
Maybe I can say that here as well. I think it actually, in my experience, the research and having some sort of like a work experience before you come to the program, particularly in research, I think is quite helpful. Myself, I actually worked, took 3 years off after my bachelor's degree before I came back for the master's, and 2 of those I spent working in a neuroscience research lab. And when I came to the program, I found that that was actually quite helpful. So I think that's really a benefit for being prepared for the program itself, if you've had some research experience in the past.
Thank you very much. And Valtteri, I believe that you are going to have to do a quick recap regarding scholarships again. I see that we have one more question from Alejandra. If the scholarships are available for non-EU EEA students, and what is the tuition fee for the non-EU EEA students?
Yeah, for this program, the TRANSMED program, the tuition fee is 15,000 euros annually, and there are scholarships available for non-EU EEA students, like full scholarships and half tuition fee scholarships, as well as living cost scholarships.
Thank you very much indeed, Valtteri. I believe that all of the students will appreciate this information, especially about the availability of scholarships. Before we actually take on the next question, but I see that we addressed every question submitted in the Q&A, so this would be a call to action to our attendees to submit as many questions you would like in the Q&A. As you can see, today's presenters are at your disposal, and I would urge you guys to take advantage of it. Before we do, I would just like to remind you that we still have a poll underway, which you should find in the polling panel beneath Q&A and beneath chat, as I see that not all of you have started it. So if you would be so kind, we have 2 short questions. If you would like to get more information on some aspects of the program, or if you're already planning on applying to this program. So thank you very much. I see that it bears some fruits. One actually started filling it out. Thank you very much, guys. Your feedback is really appreciated. Now let's see something in from Ada. Saying that she understands accepted applicants are informed in April of their acceptance to the program, but what is the deadline by which the accepted applicant must accept and enroll in the program?
I think that's one for me. Yeah, for the next year, I don't think we have the exact date yet, and it also depends on as it's possible, even for undergraduate applicant who doesn't, at the moment of the application, doesn't have yet the degree, it's also possible to apply. So it can be as late as July. But all the information will be updated as soon as possible on our website.
Thank you, Valtteri. And now this question was submitted by Vasily offline. So Vasily, if you're watching the recording, here's your question. Vasily is asking if you have any exchange programs in hospitals for medical students from Russia during the summer holidays. That would be the first part.
Okay, maybe that would be again for me. There are no, I'm afraid there are no exchange programs. If you mean that you would be working in a hospital during, as a doctor during the summertime, in Finland that is not possible. So you need to fulfill some qualifications before you can act as a doctor in Finland, so you can't do that on an exchange basis.
Tina, and actually that is then his second question. Which steps should one take and which exam should one pass to get a job working as a doctor in Finland?
I can answer that.
Yeah, I think this question falls outside my expertise and any of us in this webinar, because yeah, it should be answered by the officials in the for the medical degrees and not by us. We are concentrating on the master's degree, so I can't give any qualified answer for that.
But there are language requirements for Finnish language. This is requirement number 1. Any kind of person who will be a doctor in Finland will have to pass national exam on Finnish on a certain grade in intermediate, high intermediate level. That's first requirement. And second requirement is that he would have to prove his doctor qualification by passing 3 exams currently. And they have to be taken here in Finland on site, and all 3 would have to be passed. These are general, but more specific can be found on the website. There are specific requirements for that.
Alexandra, thank you very much. I do believe that Vasily will appreciate your help with this question. But so far we have addressed all of the questions submitted online, either offline. Perhaps I would like to give our audience members some more time if some of you are actually in the process of submitting your question and typing it. But if that's the case, actually Vasily is thanking you. Vasily is currently in the session.
Пожалуйста, Василий. Добро пожаловать. Справитесь.
But if there will be no further questions submitted, we will be wrapping up the session. So this is a sort of a last call to you, our audience members, to submit them through the Q&A panel. And Camille would like to know if you recognize research work during studies for medical specialization.
For medical what?
For medical specialization is what he said. This is quote unquote the question. Do you recognize research work during study for medical specialization?
As if this concerns the admission, yes, it can be helpful if you describe that in the application. But if the question is about do we acknowledge that as part of the studies in TRANSMED, I doubt that not.
Thank you very much, Tina. And I'm guessing it is time to actually Camille just specified that it's for as an oncologist. Perhaps if that helps. I guess it doesn't really make a difference.
No.
So Sina would like to know if they want the IELTS Council to send a score, how can they address you?
Yeah, the exact address will be available on the website of the University Admissions Finland. It's a place where all the application documents will be sent, and it's www.universityadmissions.fi, where you can find the exact address.
Thank you very much, Valtteri. Perhaps what might have happened, if I may ask you, today's panelists, perhaps a question was submitted privately to you in the Q&A panel. Was there perhaps a question that I haven't addressed? If you guys would be so kind.
I don't have any.
Me neither.
Okay, so we did take care of each and every student. Leah, perhaps something submitted privately to you? I don't believe that should...
I have any either.
But this just came in, I believe, for all of us from Ada, saying that in some U.S. universities, writing a bachelor's thesis is optional in order to complete the bachelor's degree program. Is a previously completed bachelor's thesis required in order to be eligible to apply for the TRANSMED program?
I'm sorry, Simon, could you repeat that question one more time? We had a little interruption in the room.
Okay, so Ara is saying that in some U.S. universities, writing a bachelor's thesis is optional in order to complete the program. And is a previously completed bachelor thesis required in order to be eligible for the TRANSMED program?
I think I can answer that question actually because I'm also from the U.S., so I understand. And I wrote a bachelor's thesis, and maybe Tina can correct me, but from what I understand, it's not necessary to have a bachelor's thesis in order to apply to the program. It's sort of on the basis of if you are eligible to apply for a master's program in the U.S., then you're eligible to apply for a master's program in Finland as well. But I can say that if you have one, it is, I think, viewed as nice and actually quite helpful for when you're writing your master's thesis because you have a little bit of experience already writing something. So, Tina, I don't know, do you have anything to add?
No, just that you are quite correct. The thesis is not obligatory. You need to have a degree, but you don't need to have a thesis. That is also not done in some other educational programs, so it's quite okay not to have a bachelor's thesis written.
Thank you very much. And on this note, it is time to wrap up today's webinar. Allow me to thank our audience firstly, and I sure hope that you did get, well, I'm sure that you did get the necessary information for studying TRANSMED program at University of Helsinki. And I believe that it's also safe to say that on behalf of the university and us, we sure hope that some of you are already considering in applying. So thank you very much for attending, and of course, a special thank you to Tina, Valtteri, Leah, as well as Alexandra for taking your time, for sharing your expertise. Perhaps any last-minute closing comments before we say goodbye?
I just hope that if you have any burning questions in your mind, please send your questions to mail@student@helsinki.fi. Those questions will be directed either to Valtteri or to me, and I'm sure that you will get answers to any specific questions you might have. Thanks for attending.
Good luck to all of you, and I hope that we will see all who wishes to enter. Good luck to you.
Yes, we hope that lots of exciting new students come and join us in the TRANSMED program. I think it's a wonderful program, and we're excited to get more competitive students joining us.
Yeah, hopefully many of you will apply, and also many of you will gain an admission. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you indeed to all of today's participants in the webinar. And this is Simon wishing you a good morning, perhaps a good afternoon, or a good evening from wherever you may be. Thank you for joining once again, and goodbye.